The October 7th terrorist attack in Israel was the worst massacre of Jews since the Holocaust. It led to war and the loss of thousands of lives in Gaza, and now war against Hezbollah in Lebanon. 1 year after the Hamas terror bloodbath against Israel, its impact is still being felt, not only in the Middle East, but around the world. Joining us is French-Israeli award-winning filmmaker Piere Rehov. His latest documentary out this week is called Pogroms. Piere, bonjour, bienvenue, shalom. You've done a lot of films about Israel and the Middle East over the years, so as an Israeli, I'm sure this one was a bit more personal for you. Why did you feel compelled to do a film about October 7th?
Well, first of all, I live about 20 miles north of Gaza, and on October 7th at 6:30, I was woken up by, like everybody else in Israel, by sirens. I received a phone call at about 7 a.m. from a friend of mine who told me, lock your doors, lock your windows, we are invading. That's how I found out that something big was happening. And since then, we've been, where I live, under Hamas rocket for about 3 to 4 months before the IDF was capable of to stop the firing of rockets, at least in my specific region. But it took me a couple, 3 months to finally decide to make a film about it, because October 7 was a tragedy. It was a massacre. It was a pogrom. It was a kind of a genocide. But on October the 8th, the next day, instead of seeing people with a T-shirt in the streets of New York or Los Angeles saying, I am Israel, stop Hamas, no, they did exactly the opposite. And a lot of students in many universities around the planet and people in the streets started rioting, not on the side of Israel, but exactly on the opposite side, taking the side of the Hamas.
I have viewed the film. I must admit the graphic video and images and the testimonies of the first responders were difficult to bear. What impact did all of it have on you?
What you saw is not 0.5% of what I saw. And I selected among the images that I had to see the mildest. I watched and I saw videos that even in the worst horror films made by Hollywood, you wouldn't dare putting the images off, because I met with many first responders. And, you know, in Israel, there is a high level of respect for the dead. So the government try as much as possible to not let those images of dead Israelis travel around the planet. So many, I would say 90% of them were censored, taken down from the social networks. But first of all, I got material from the army, and I got also material, I saw material from the cell phones of the first responders who filmed what they saw, who filmed what they discovered. And this is something that I don't even want to describe, but it got me a few nightmares. And even today, months after, I cannot still believe that things like that happen. It's like a nightmare written by Ted Bundy. And actually, we had like 6,000 Ted Bundys going inside Israel to massacre Jews.
Well, after detailing the October 7th massacre, you explore the ideology that led up to this horrific crime, the creation of Hamas as a military wing of the Muslim Brotherhood, funding and support from Iran and Qatar. But you also mentioned that no such thing as a Palestinian nation or people existed. A nationalist movement was actually triggered by global powers, and the Soviet Union was the first one. Tell us more about that.
Every historian who has been really looking in good faith at the events and at the history itself knows that the Palestinian people were invented by Yasser Arafat, Nasser, the president of Egypt, and the KGB in 1964. The reason for this invention at a period of time when people were not talking so much about Israel and the Arabs living in Palestine, who didn't call themselves Palestinians in those days, because Palestine was only a region, never been a country, never been a kingdom, never been anything but a region. And the only thing which was in this place as an independent country throughout history was Judea, Samaria, the Kingdom of Israel, and now Israel itself. So in 1964, Nasser was having trouble with putting together all the Arab countries under his personal domination, and he wanted to give it another try. When Yasser Arafat came to him and said, Yasser Arafat, who was born in Egypt, has never been a Palestinian himself, and came up with this terrific idea: let's make the world turn against Israel. Palestinians never wanted a country. They had a plan to destroy Israel for ideological reasons, because a Muslim cannot accept that another Muslim would live under Jewish rule. Today, after October 7, after receiving thousands of rockets, after having had all those murders, those tortures, those rapes inside Israel, and having now the Hezbollah and Iran attacking us for such a long time, Israel said enough.
The film is Pogroms. Where can people view it, Pierre?
Oh, it's going to be out on October 7th for Remembrance Day. First, I'm going to give it for free to everybody on Rumble for 24 hours, just to celebrate, to commemorate October 7th. And then it's going to be on Apple TV, it's going to be on Amazon and Tubi TV, and a lot of networks similar to those, Amazon being one of the biggest.
Okay, we can find it just about everywhere. Piere Rehov, merci beaucoup. Tuda rabah. Thank you for being with us. Shana tova.
Thank you very much.